Karen.
And I'm Brendan.
And together we're Fox and Rabbit Designs and the Blackberry Rabbit. This is our very first Flosstube, so we're very nervous, and I'm sure we're going to be making a lot of mistakes as we go. So later today, Bren's going to have to learn how to do a lot of editing before we can get this thing loaded.
Thank God for YouTube.
So yes, he's going to have a lot of learning to do. We're coming to you from far north Queensland, where we're on week 2 of our 3-week vacation. It's our first vacation, non-work related vacation since 2016, so we're enjoying every minute of it. We've got 1 more week to go before we head back down to New South Wales, which is where we live. So our next Flosstube will be from our home when we get home. So bear with us as we go, because we really do not have any idea what we're doing. So I guess first we'll just let you know a little bit about ourselves. I'll go first. So I do lots of designing. I design as the rabbit half of Fox and Rabbit Designs, and I also have my own design company, which is the Blackberry Rabbit, which are just all of my original designs. Fox and Rabbit, we reproduce antique samplers, and we also design our own samplers. Brendan also does the hand dyeing linen side of our business, which he left his full-time employment for back in January to do full-time Fox and Rabbit, and has not looked back.
I haven't had a chance to look back.
No, it's been so busy. Yeah, so I've been doing my designing now for about probably 3 years. Up until then, I've just had Linen and Threads, which is a needlework shop. We've had that since 2000, so we're just celebrating our 20th anniversary. So that's kept me busy for the last 20 years, but the designing has just gone crazy. So yeah, so more to come on that side of things. Brendan, you want to tell me a bit about what you were doing before Fox and Rabbit?
Well, so before Fox and Rabbit, I was in IT, so totally different to what we're actually doing now. Now my life is just dyeing fabric.
And designing samplers.
Well, not so much that anymore.
That's more me.
That's more you. I don't have a chance to really do that anymore. I'm just dyeing fabric constantly. So we've been, really grateful that everybody's has taken on our linen and really. Designers are starting to use it now.
Yeah,
starting with our, one of our best friends, Paulette from Flosstube Samplers.
Yeah, she got the ball rolling with the fabric, didn't she? Up until then we'd used our fabrics for our own designs, but even then we were a little bit hesitant to do that because obviously the American shops, particularly, or all needlework shops, had to have access to it, and up to that point. We didn't have a distributor for it. We didn't really think there'd be a lot of interest, and Paulette saw our. She named Hog Bristle, and she saw it at a retreat, at a Plum Street retreat that we ran, and she said, look, I'd like to do a design on this. So we said, well, okay, it doesn't have a name, so if you use it, you can name it, which she did. And also she took Eureka with her and released 2 designs at the 2020 Nashville market, which we also exhibited at, and Hoffman came up to us, wanted to distribute our linen, and we haven't looked back from there. Our other good friend, Tanya Brockmeyer from the Scarlet House, she's just been incredibly supportive as well and has used many of our linens, especially, and she was the one that gave Brendan the nudge out the door to do this full-time back in January, when Brendan was a little bit worried about leaving his job of many years to do this full-time, but it was absolutely the right thing to do. So yeah, so we're very grateful to them, and when we get back from vacation, we've got a lot of fabrics going out to a lot of designers who are wanting to use it. So yeah, we're very, very grateful. Brendan, how many linen yards did you do before we went on vacation? About 1,000?
In the last month, yeah. Just over 1,000 yards we've got out. Yeah,
we were literally packing the last of the orders up till 5:30 a.m. the morning we went away, and luckily the friends who were staying at the house mailed that last of it for us that morning, and I think they've all arrived now at the shops. So yeah, the orders have been piling in while we've been gone, so it'll all start again in another week and a half when we get home. So, but we're very, very grateful. So thank you to everybody and to all the shops and designers. So yeah. And so we thought, well, it's time to jump into the Flosstube world. I personally spend hours watching Flosstube, especially when I'm up to all hours of the morning doing serging all the linen. So thank you to all those wonderful Flosstubers out there that have been keeping me company in the wee hours. And a lot of friends have been encouraging us to do it. We thought, you know what, let's put our foot in the water and have a go at this ourselves. So and it's a great way for us to show you all things that we're working on, new designs we're releasing, new fabrics Brendan's working on, and also we're stitchers as well, and we love stitching other people's designs. So we'll be showing you as we go on other projects we're working on from other designers. I tend to have a lot more on the go than Brendan. He tends to be a monogamous stitcher. There is no way in the world I could ever do that. So he's got one piece up here to show you, but we'll show you that a little bit later. Let me think. Okay, so I guess we should tell you about where our designs all started. My very first design was a design, I don't have it with me because some of our samples are at shops down in Sydney, but my very first one. Now we're going to have a go at inserting, I'm not sure where, a photo. Brendan's still got to learn how to do that, so if nothing appears when you're watching this, you know he hasn't worked it out until we get home. But my first one was this one, which was Honeymakers, and also Queen Bee, and we released those, I think it was at the 2019 Nashville Needlework Market, and they went really well. Brendan's first one
was the Botany Bay sampler.
Yeah.
So it's
insert that one as well.
Yeah.
Wherever that appears.
I don't think it's probably going to happen, but
yeah,
it might be there. It might not be. We'll find out later. Karen tells me that you can do it. I don't know if I believe her.
The actual sample's down at the Cruel Goblin down at Kalara, so we couldn't bring that with us either. So
yeah. So that's a really nice sampler. It has an Australian theme. It's not an Australian sampler, but it has an Australian theme. And it's just a nice historical sampler, a nice Scottish sampler, showing some history of both Scotland and Australia in that period in time.
And that sort of started the ball rolling with all of our, Brendan's had a love of antique samplers forever, and we've collected a lot as we've gone. So as I said, we're going to be working on a lot more of our original samplers as time goes on, but we've been collecting quite a lot of samplers in this last 12 months, which are in different stages of being reproduced. And also too, we've sort of paid for the rights from some museums in Australia. We've also had many wonderful friends who have got gorgeous samplers in their collections, and they've given us permission to reproduce those. So we've got enough samplers coming out to last many years, so I just have to get charting them. So that was supposed to be both of our jobs, but stitching them along with our wonderful model stitches. So, and I just realized I've got some that I brought up to show you, so I'm just going to pop over and get that. Brendan's going to have to learn how to do our first edit. So following on from my Honeymakers, because I just love bees, but as most of my friends will know, I also adore dragonflies. So following on from Honeymakers was Dragonfly Dreams. I'm not sure if you can see that. This one was a 2020 Nashville market release, and that one was very popular. She's a big girl because the dragonflies are a little bit longer than bees. So that was Dragonfly Dreams. And then with all of that series, I tend to then do a single one, and it's usually a queen, or this one here is called Dragon Queen. And that's the little single one that goes with Dragonfly Dreams. As I said, I had Queen Bee that went with Honeymakers as well. Also at the 2020 Nashville market, 2020 Nashville market was this one that's been a very popular one also. It's called The Visitor, and this is still selling really well, even though it's 12 months since it's been released. So that one's been very popular. And fast forward then, we because obviously Nashville market was not on this year, which we really miss catching up with all of our friends. We participated in the very first online show, but it was the Needlework Expo. Sorry, completely blanked out. There was a theme there that was the Moo the Merrier. So we thought, okay, we can do this. So I designed one for both Fox and Rabbit and for Blackberry Rabbit. My Blackberry Rabbit one was Bessie in the Blooms. And that one is stitched on our eucalyptus linen. And that's available now. And this one here is called The Cow That Missed the Moon, also on our eucalyptus linen. So that one's for Fox and Rabbit, and they were our contributions to the Moo the Merrier. I believe there's another theme coming out in the August Fall Expo as well, which I'm working on. So, okay, so we've got just a couple of Fox and Rabbit ones. So this one, do you want to show this one? This one's Charlotte Mills. This was also a 2020 release at Nashville Market.
Yeah, so this one was really unusual. And the border's really unusual. I'm not sure if it shows up. It's actually got like clown faces in the border. Well, they look like clown faces.
Brendan says they look like clown faces.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just beautiful. And just the style of it is just one of my favourites. I love these Biedermeier style samplers.
So she's a reproduction sampler.
And she's stitched on Up in the Attic, 40 count Up in the Attic, Fox and Rabbit linen. And this was an expo release this year.
And again, she's a reproduction sampler. And everybody loves the parrot.
And the little monkey.
And the little tiny monkey underneath the parrot.
And that's stitched on 40 count eucalyptus as well. So that's Rebecca Aldridge, and she's been selling very well as well. So that's just the few that we brought up here with us, just because we're not at home. So even though we drove up here to Queensland, we didn't have a huge amount of room, especially when I shoved every piece of stitching I think I've ever had just in the car, just in case I had something I wanted to work on.
And every piece of clothing you
Yeah. No, I think I've rotated like 3 things because it's so hot up here in Queensland. I haven't needed any of the clothes I brought.
And we've got a medium-sized 4-wheel drive, and there's just enough room in the front 2 seats for us to sit.
Yeah.
All the rest is carrying stuff.
Brendan thought we were moving home and moving up here, which is not a bad idea, but far north Queensland is just, we've fallen in love with it up here. It's very warm. Down home, it's quite cold now, so it's lovely to have summer weather in our Australian winter months. I think that's about all for what we brought up here to show you. As the Flosstube's gone, we'll go back through our past catalogue and show you the real examples of a lot of our designs, just so you can become familiar with what we do.
And also show you some of the originals they're based on as well. So some of the samples that we have in our collection, ones that we've already reproduced, as well as some that we're going to reproduce as we're going forward.
Yeah, so they're all at home. So that will be in number 2 if we get that far.
Yeah, we might survive number 1.
We'll see what happens after this first one. Yeah, so I guess we can show you. So that's basically how we come about and what we've. Brett and I have been married for 26 years, so but we've both had a love of needlework for a long time. So as I said, and Brendan particularly has a love of samplers. My tastes, I love samplers, but I'm a little bit eclectic with my stitching. Brendan pretty much wholly and solely, when it's not our own design, stitches on other people's lovely sampler designs. Do you want to show what you're working on? This is the one he just started and brought up. Yeah. And so it's amazing.
There's no use showing the stitching yet because I've only stitched
the 3 stitches you've put in, but that's okay.
But it's this design here.
Put it up close. I think it's shining on there a bit.
Is it shining?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to insert that in.
Yeah. Good luck with that. Okay.
We've got to learn how to insert.
We do have to learn how to insert, yeah. Yeah. It's by Victoria Rose.
Yeah, so this is a sampler by Victoria Rose. Tinker has reproduced this sampler.
Stunning.
From her collection. And I think I've done 8 stitches.
And it's called Sheep May Safely Graze, Alice Smith, 1841. And it's just, the border alone is just to die for. So this will be, we will show you progress on this on each Flosstube, but
I'm a really, really slow stitcher.
He's not the fastest stitcher in the world.
I get distracted and move on to other shiny things.
So do you want, well, we'll show you the tiny bit that he has stitched. Brendan I used to stitch in hand personally, and he's now gotten me addicted to stretcher bars, so I also blame him.
Yeah, so you can see that I've stitched a lot, the little green upside down L. Yeah. It's a bit embarrassing, really.
And you'll see his Bigfoot needle minder. Brendan is obsessed with all things Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster. If there's a cryptid out there that hasn't been discovered, Brendan knows all about it. So one day we'll show you his office at home. It's quite the adventure when you go in his room. So, okay, so I've got and as I said, until recently I have always my entire life stitched in hand. I've always never enjoyed. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but I've never enjoyed the process of a hoop, or I sometimes pop things on a Q-snap, but I had to do something that needed specialty stitches or something, so I borrowed I borrowed Brendan's Millennium Frame, which he probably may never get back now. So, and once I just started using it, I thought, you know what, I actually quite like the tension and everything. So now, obviously we didn't invest in any more Millennium Frames, but we had quite a few bits and pieces, but we've invested in the Almanac frames, which are just amazing. So I'll show you. I don't have a lot done either because I've been doing nothing but serging and cutting linen for about the last 6 months. So, okay, oops. Okay, my friend Paulette and I, she started a stitch along with a few friends, and it's really good because she actually gives us like an assignment every week, and that suits me down to the ground. Now, I'm a little bit behind because, as I said, we were busy before we went. A little bit? I'm just a little bit behind.
You're going to get in trouble.
But this is Carolyn Amelia Trowell by, it's a bit shiny, sorry, by Brenda Jabay from With Thy Needle and Thread. Absolutely love this. The girls are all doing on different linens. I've chosen, you can tell, you'll probably see a theme here. I actually love our eucalyptus linen. So I've chosen eucalyptus. Oh, it's very hard to see. It's kind of, I'm not sure you can see that. That's my start. I'm about halfway through the first 4-week assignment. So, but I'm stitching that one on eucalyptus, and I'm absolutely loving it with the called for threads. So it's looking really, really pretty. I'll be glad when I get to some of the lighter colours because they're showing up really nicely on the eucalyptus. So yeah, so the girls are going to see how far behind I am if they get to see this video before I catch up. So that's number one. Another one I'm doing is Halloween Quaker by Leela's Studio. I found out recently I was pronouncing that wrong. That's Halloween Quaker. And I've only just started this, but I'm using all the called for threads. And I said to Brendan that I needed an unusual piece of linen to stitch it on, so he went out and dyed me a piece. So everyone has seen this, has liked it, so I think this is going to be one of our releases probably at the fall August Needlework Expo. So this one, as you can see, that witch doesn't look like much, but that is a lot of stitching in that witch. So I do hope to get that finished soon and then move on to, where's the...
But we need a name for this linen too.
We do need a name for it. So if anyone can think of a great name, leave it down in the comments. So we tend to do kind of Australian names for our linens mostly, but everyone asked us how we came up with hog bristle and how Australian, what correlation that had to Australia. We said, well, none. Paulette named it. So yeah, so we need a name for this linen. So pop it down in the comments, and if yours is the name we pick, we'll send you a fat quarter of the linen when it's released in whatever count you'd like. So that one is Halloween Quaker, and this other one, this is actually quite embarrassing to what Brendan was saying. I barely put a few stitches in this, but I've come late to the party with the Modern Folk Embroidery 2021 stitch along. Brendan actually bought me the charts at the start of the year, but I've only just started stitching it. And oops daisy. And so for any of you who don't know, that's oops. Got it the right way, upside down. It's this one, which is just divine, and I've seen so many people stitching it in the most amazing colour combinations. And I think it's the main reason I hadn't started, because I couldn't decide myself. So back on the Millennium Frame, which I just love. That is my very sad first start. Whereabouts?
I like how it's now your Millennium Frame.
My Millennium Frame. And I'm doing it in like, it's like a pink and red and chocolate colour combination. I think that's going to look really pretty. Unlike nearly everything else I stitched, this one is actually not on one of our hand dyes. This is on Platinum by Zweigart, which is my favourite go-to colour that's not a hand dye. So I do hope to get onto that sort of soon. So, and speaking of Quakers, actually, we forgot to mention too, Brendan also designs the free, that's pretty much how things started for you, we forgot to mention that, the free Linen and Threads stitch along that's on every year in our well, it's on our website on Linen and Threads, but it's also in a Facebook group. And that started, you want to tell them a bit about where you started with that one back in 2017?
2017, yeah. So in 2017, we were looking for a way to get a bit of traffic to Linen and Threads website.
Yeah.
So we actually thought about doing a stitch along. We designed, at that stage it was a really, really big chart.
Yeah.
That one. And we thought, we'll put this up as a free thing each month. No one knows what it looks like until the end. So it's a complete mystery. And we were just really blown away with the response. I
said, we'll start a Facebook group, and you never know. Brent said, well, we won't get any.
Yeah, well, I thought we'd get 4 or 5 people stitching it, and we might be able to create a little group out of that. But now, 5 years later,
almost 20,000.
Yeah, almost 20,000 people in the group that are stitching that. Not just this year's, but they're stitching prior years and catching up. Everything
from 2017 right through to the current one, people are stitching. So either the ones where they've seen what it looks like. 2020 last year's has been very, very popular. One lady started it in January this year, and she just finished it, put her post up.
Yeah, it's amazing. Was a Quaker sampler.
Beautiful. Yeah. So, and every year he'll continue to do it. And the colour, again, he always does them in just a single colour so that everyone can just pick and choose. And we also wanted to do it so that, not just for Linen and Threads, but for other needlework shops. So, everyone's been going in all over the world getting their supplies. So it's been really good for the industry, we think. And yes, and there's been so many questions. Yes, he's going to continue doing it each year. We're probably going to change it to the Fox and Rabbit mystery group, just because a lot of people getting the Linen and Threads confused with Fox and Rabbit. So just so we can sort of reinforce that our design name, we'll probably be changing the name of the group, but everything else will stay exactly the same. And Bren is working on 2022 now.
Well, I'm thinking about it. I haven't started yet.
He's designing it in his head. He's got it worked out, but he hasn't started graphing it yet. So, but that'll be very soon. So, yeah. And I'm just trying to think. I just want to show you some of the things that I've actually bought recently. So, or gifts. I had my birthday last month, so I had some beautiful things that I received for my birthday, which are stitchy related. So I thought I'll show you those. And yeah, because they're just beautiful. This first one was stitched by my friend Naomi. It is, I think it's an excerpt from A Busy Little Bee by Modern Folk Embroidery, and it's just beautiful and so special. It was, she said it was stitched on a piece of mystery 40 count Fox and Rabbit linen, because before we started doing it as a business, we used to actually have it for sale at our retreats, and we never gave them names. Obviously Naomi picked that up at one of our retreats before we started selling it to shops. The second one is a little excerpt from Sarah Jackson by, this is from my friend Linda Mapson. It was an excerpt from the top of Sarah Jackson by the Scarlet House, and I believe she stitched that on 36 count eucalyptus with vintage chenille by Lady Dot Creates. So they were 2 wonderful gifts. This was also a beautiful gift from my friend Carol from Cherry Pie Designs. If anyone hasn't heard of Carol, she's an amazing quilt designer, patchwork designer. But this one she made from another friend of ours, Annie Downs from Hatched and Patched. It's one of Annie's patterns. And this is just beautiful. I was blown away by it. I think this is going to be reversed, but that's okay. So that's just a beautiful little carry bag. So I've brought that up here with all my stitchy bits and bobs in there. And Carol also, I think there's a bit of a bird theme she has going for all my birthdays, because she also made this little beautiful wool embroidery applique needle minder as well. So that's just beautiful. And that was it for, again, I have other things, but I left them all at home. I am completely addicted to project bags. I don't have a card with me. I left it at home, but just before we left, some of the beautiful project bags I purchased from Stitch Folk, from Barry at Stitch Folk in the United States, arrived. Just perfect, because...
Show the back.
And I'll show you the back, because they have rabbits. So I got luckily, you've got to be quick to get them when Barry puts them up for sale, but I got it in the red and my favourite colour, which is green. and they are just beautiful. So we'll put a link below to Stitch Folk. The one I'm using for my Carolyn trowel one is this beautiful, I think it's French General. Don't mind my blingy little needles in there. Which was a French General one. Just beautiful and so well made. I have more on the way, so hopefully they're there when the next Flosstube comes up. So I think that's about it. Oh, this is one other little thing I made recently. Carol and I had, my friend Carol from Cherry Pie and I had a bit of a make and take kind of day over at her place, and we both made this gorgeous little pear needle minder from Stacey Nash. It's Stacey Nash Primitus. It's just beautiful, and we used Lady Doc Creates Velveteen for that. So, and I carry that with me everywhere. That's also very beautiful. Brendan doesn't really have anything else to show you.
I don't have any friends.
No. He actually gets lovely gifts for his birthday. His birthday's coming up next week, so he'll have some fun stitchy things to show you on our next video. So that's probably it for us today, just because, as I said, we are on holidays. We'll be a lot more organised for our next one. What we want to do, though, is we want to do a giveaway for our first Flosstube. So what was it? I'm going to be giving away 5 of my Honeymakers charts. Again, hopefully we can insert that. So if you would like a copy of that, and we're happy to send it anywhere in the world, that's not a problem. If you want to put just B, as in B-double-E, down in the comments, we'll put you into the random selector and get those out to you when we get home. We'll draw those names in our next video. And Brendan wants to give away
maybe some Charlotte Mills charts.
Some Charlotte Mills charts, yeah.
Yep, so we'll have 5 of those to give away as well.
Yep, so if you just put Charlotte, C-H-A-R-L-O-T-T-E, hope that's not too hard to spell. So Charlotte in the comments, and we will randomly pick those for the next Flosstube as well and get those away to you when we get home. And there's one last thing we thought, the chances of us getting to 1,000 subscribers, highly doubtful, but if we do, we've actually picked out a little sampler at home that I'm currently charting that we'll give away to our subscribers as a free PDF if you subscribe, and when we hit 1,000. So if that happens, we will have that available to all our subscribers. And it's a cute little antique sampler, and that'll just be in PDF format when and if we ever hit 1,000. So that seems to be, that's our goal basically. If we can get to that, we would be just over the moon. But you know what? We're happy for anyone who wants to watch us. So, and I just want to give a big shout out to, just before we go, to Brenda and the Serial Stitcher. They have kept me company so much this last 12 months, and our thoughts and prayers go out to you, Brenda. You got this, and we look forward to watching you every week. In fact, I've got a photo I'm going to post on my Facebook later. I just took it. Brenda took it out when I was stitching yesterday, and you can just see there, Flosstube keep me company as I'm working on Carolyn out on our pool deck. So yeah, so love and prayers to you too. So yeah, so I think that's about it, Brendan.
Yep, I think that's it. We don't really have anything else to say. I don't have much to say normally anyway.
We'll get Brendan talking a lot more, I can assure you. He'll be in big trouble if he doesn't, because I'm not doing this, the talking. Everyone that knows us will say, well, that's nothing unusual. But believe it, he does have a lot to say at home. So, and contrary to popular belief, we are both quite shy people. I think he's an introvert living in an introvert life. I'm an introvert living an extrovert life. So between the two of us, we're not the most comfortable at doing this, but I know that we will get better. So bear with us, and hopefully
we can't be any worse.
We can't be any worse. So that's right. So thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you for number 2 in 2 weeks' time. Take care. Bye from North Queensland.
Bye.